I stared at my phone screen, reading the family group chat message for the third time. The blue bubbles kept popping up as my sister-in-law Jessica's announcement sparked a flurry of excited responses. Jessica. Perfect. The beach house is just sitting there empty. We're moving in next week. Mom. What a wonderful idea. That place needs some life in it. Dad. About time someone put that property to good use. Brother Mark. Jess already ordered new furniture. Aunt Patricia. We can have family gatherings there. My thumbs hovered over the keyboard as more messages flooded in, each one more presumptuous than the last. The empty beach house they were so eagerly claiming was my most recent restoration project, a $12 million property I'd spent the last 8 months renovating. I set my phone down on my office desk and turned to look out the floor-to-ceiling windows of my penthouse office. Below, Miami's financial district hummed with morning activity. Most of my family still thought I was struggling to make ends meet as a small-time real estate agent. They had no idea I owned one of the largest property development companies in Florida. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a private message from Jessica. Jessica, Alex, I know you're reading these messages. Don't worry about the furniture. We're replacing all that old stuff you left there. Mark and I need a proper summer home for the kids. You never use it anyway. I took a deep breath, remembering how this all started. 3 years ago, when I made my first million, I decided to keep my success quiet. I'd watched too many family members destroy themselves with sudden wealth. So I maintained my modest apartment, drove my old car, and played the role of the struggling younger brother. The intercom on my desk buzzed. Mr. Winters, the board meeting starts in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sarah, I replied to my assistant. And could you get Marcus from security on the line? While waiting for the call, I scrolled through more family messages. They were already planning renovations, discussing which rooms their kids would take, and organizing a housewarming party. The irony wasn't lost on me. They had no idea they were planning to renovate a house that had just undergone a multi-million-dollar restoration under my supervision. Marcus here, sir. Marcus, the Sunset Bay property. Is the new security system active? Yes, Mr. Winters. Full spectrum, biometric locks, cameras, motion sensors, and remote monitoring. Would you like me to pull up the feeds? Please. And Marcus, we might have some unexpected visitors next week. Protocol 3. Understood, sir. Non-confrontational deterrence and full documentation. Non-confrontational deterrence and full documentation. I smiled, knowing exactly how this would play out. Protocol 3 was my favorite MIAS designed specifically for entitled family members trying to claim properties they had no right to. It involved a series of increasingly uncomfortable revelations about who actually owned the property. The board meeting went by in a blur of quarterly reports and investment projections. My company, Winters Development Group, had quietly become one of the largest property holders in the southeastern United States. The beach house was just one of over 300 properties in my portfolio. By evening, my phone had 67 unread messages in the family chat. I finally decided to respond. Me, the beach house isn't empty. Please don't make any plans. The response was immediate and predictable. Jessica, don't be ridiculous, Alex. We all know you can't afford to maintain it. This is for the best. Mark, bro, you're never there. Mom and Dad agree. The family should use it. Mom, sweetie, let your brother and Jessica take it. They have children who need the space. I was about to reply when my security alert pinged. The cameras at the beach house had picked up movement. Pulling up the feed on my laptop, I watched as a moving truck pulled into the circular driveway. Jessica and Mark were already there, directing movers who were unloading expensive-looking furniture. Sarah, I called through the intercom. Cancel my dinner. I need to make a trip to Sunset Bay. The 40-minute drive to the beach house gave me time to think. I could have stopped this with a single phone call, revealing my ownership of not just the beach house, but the entire Sunset Bay development. But experience had taught me that entitled people needed to learn lessons the hard way. As I pulled up to the private road leading to the house, I noticed they had already tried to change the security code on the gate. The old keypad had been scratched up, probably from frustration when it wouldn't accept new codes. I pressed my thumb to the hidden biometric scanner, and the gate silently opened. The moving truck was gone, but 3 cars were parked in the circular driveway. Jessica's Range Rover, Mark's Mercedes and my parents' Lexus. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows I could see them all inside, already rearranging furniture. I parked my 10-year-old Honda Civic behind their luxury cars and walked up to the front door. Before I could even touch the handle, Jessica swung it open, her perfect smile barely concealing her annoyance. "Oh, Alex, we weren't expecting you," she said, blocking the doorway. "We're kind of in the middle of moving in. Maybe come back next weekend for the housewarming." Behind her I could see my brother directing movers who were trying to remove my custom-made Italian leather sofa, a $50,000 piece I'd specially ordered for the house. "Actually, Jessica, I need you all to stop what you're doing right now." She laughed, that condescending laugh she'd perfected over the years. "Alex, sweetie, I know this is hard for you, but this is what's best for everyone. You can't maintain a house like this on your commission checks. We're doing you a favor." I stepped past her into the house, walking straight to the control panel near the kitchen. Everyone was so busy moving furniture that they barely noticed me. "Mom, Dad," I called out, "you might want to tell the movers to stop." My mother looked up from where she was arranging flowers in an expensive vase, one that had been in the house when they arrived. "Alexander, don't make a scene. Your brother's family needs this house. You can come visit anytime." I pulled out my phone and opened an app. "Last chance. Tell the movers to stop and put everything back exactly where they found it." Mark walked over, putting his arm around Jessica. "Don't be difficult, bro. We've already paid the movers. The furniture is coming in whether you like it or not." "Actually," I said, pressing a button on my phone, "it's not." The house's lighting system suddenly shifted to deep red. A gentle but firm automated voice came over the hidden speakers. "Attention. Unauthorized property access detected. Security protocol initiated. Please remain calm and await authorities." The look of confusion on their faces was priceless. Jessica rushed to the front door, but it had already locked automatically. Mark tried the back doors to the beach. Also locked. Steel shutters began slowly descending over all the windows. "What did you do?" Jessica screeched, frantically pulling at the door handle. "I simply activated the security system," I said calmly, taking a seat on my Italian leather sofa. "The one I had installed to protect my property." "Your property," my father scoffed. "Alex, this house has been in the family for years. You can't just—" He was interrupted by the sound of helicopters. Through the last uncovered window, we could see 2 police helicopters hovering over the beach behind the house. Patrol cars with flashing lights were pulling up to the gate. "What's happening?" my mother asked, her voice shaking. I opened another app on my phone, this one displaying multiple security camera feeds. "Well, from a legal standpoint you're all trespassing. The movers too, and you've attempted to steal several $1 million worth of furniture and art." $1 million? Mark laughed nervously. "This old furniture." I pointed to the sofa they had been trying to remove. "That piece alone cost $50,000. The art piece you just took down from the entrance hall, original Basquiat, worth about $4 million. The police were now at the door. I pressed another button on my phone, unlocking it. 3 officers entered, followed by Marcus from my security team. "Mr. Winters," Marcus nodded to me, "would you like to press charges?" The room went deadly silent. Jessica's perfect smile had vanished. Mark's confident posture had crumbled. My parents looked like they'd seen a ghost. "Alex," my mother whispered, "what's going on?" I stood up, straightening my jacket. "What's going on is that you all decided to move into my house without permission. A house that I own, along with the entire Sunset Bay development. Those new condos being built down the beach, also mine. The marina, mine. The shopping complex being renovated, mine too." "That's impossible," Jessica sputtered. "You're just a real estate agent." Marcus handed me a tablet, displaying the security footage from the last few hours. "Actually, Jessica, I'm the CEO of Winters Development Group. We're one of the largest property development companies in the Southeast. That empty beach house you tried to claim, I just spent 8 months and $12 million renovating it." The police officers were taking statements from the movers, who looked terrified. My family stood in shocked silence as the reality of the situation sank in. "Marcus," I said, Please ensure all the furniture is returned to its proper position. Document any damages. I turned to my family. You have two choices. Either you can leave now, quietly, or I can press charges for breaking and entering, attempted theft and property damage. You wouldn't, Mark started, but Jessica grabbed his arm. We're leaving, she said quickly. We're sorry, Alex. We didn't know. Clearly, I replied. The police will escort you out. And just so we're clear, don't make plans involving my properties again. As they were led out by the officers, my mother turned back. Why didn't you tell us? I looked around at the house they had tried to claim, at the furniture they had tried to discard, at the life they had tried to take over simply because they thought they could. Would it have made a difference? I asked. Would you have respected my boundaries more if you knew I was wealthy, or would you have just tried to take advantage in bigger ways? She had no answer for that. The police finished taking statements. The movers apologized profusely. I decided not to press charges against them, and Marcus supervised as everything was returned to its proper place. Later that evening, as I sat on my Italian leather sofa watching the sunset over the ocean, my phone buzzed with a message. It was from Jessica in the family group chat. Jessica, we apologize for our behavior. We had no right. I typed out a response, then deleted it. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Instead, I opened my laptop and began drafting a new security protocol. Something told me this wouldn't be the last time I'd need to deal with entitled family members. The security system hummed quietly in the background. Its red lights now returned to a gentle white glow. Outside, waves crashed against the private beach, and somewhere in the distance, a police helicopter was heading back to base. I smiled, thinking about how differently this could have gone if I hadn't kept my success quiet all these years. Sometimes the best power is the power they don't know you have, until they force you to use it. The next morning, my phone was flooded with messages and missed calls. News of yesterday's incident had spread through the family like wildfire, causing a clear division. Some were apologetic, others were demanding explanations, and a few were already trying to position themselves as my most supportive relatives. I sat in my home office, sipping coffee and watching the sunrise over Miami's skyline when Sarah buzzed in. Mr. Winters, your brother Mark is in the lobby. He's quite insistent about seeing you. I checked the security feed. Mark looked different from yesterday. His usual polished appearance was disheveled, and he was wearing casual clothes instead of his typical designer suit. Send him up, Sarah, and activate recording protocols. Minutes later, Mark stepped into my office, his eyes widening at the view and the obvious luxury of the space. He stood awkwardly, probably remembering how he'd lectured me about financial responsibility just last month. Nice office, he managed. How long have you? I mean, when did you take a seat, Mark? I gestured to one of the leather chairs facing my desk. I assume this isn't a social call. He sat down, fidgeting with his wedding ring. Jessica's furious. She's been crying all night about the humiliation. Mom and Dad are barely speaking to each other, and Aunt Patricia is telling everyone who'll listen that you've changed. Changed? I raised an eyebrow. Or just stopped letting people take advantage of me. Come on, Alex. We're family. We didn't know about your success. If you had just told us, if I had told you what, that I was wealthy, would that have made you respect my property more? Or would you have just found bigger things to take? Mark's face flushed. That's not fair. We thought we were helping you manage a property you couldn't afford. By breaking in and trying to steal my furniture, we didn't break in. We used the spare key from Mom's. The spare key, I interrupted, pulling up a security feed on my monitor. You mean the spare key that Jessica used to make copies last week? The screen showed Jessica at a hardware store, clearly duplicating keys. Mark's face went pale. She said, "She told me you gave permission, and you believed that I would give permission without telling you directly." I turned the monitor to show him another feed. Or should we watch the video of you and Jessica discussing how to take over the beach house 2 weeks ago at your country club? He slumped in his chair. How long have you been watching us? Long enough to know this wasn't a misunderstanding. You and Jessica planned this, convinced our parents to support you, and tried to take what wasn't yours. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a folder. But that's not why you're really here, is it? Mark's eyes fixed on the folder. What do you mean? Your construction company is failing. You've lost 3 major contracts in the past month. Jessica's spending hasn't slowed down, and you're 6 months behind on your mortgage. How did you? I own the bank that holds your mortgage, Mark. I know everything. I opened the folder, revealing documents about his company's finances. You didn't want the beach house for your family. You needed a free place to live because you're about to lose your home. Tears welled up in his eyes. Alex, please. I didn't know who else to turn to. Jessica can't know how bad things are. The kids should have been your priority before you let your wife spend money you didn't have. I closed the folder. But you're still my brother. Hope flickered across his face. You'll help. On my terms. I pressed a button on my desk, and Sarah entered with another folder. Inside is a contract. My company will buy your construction firm at market value, which isn't much right now. You'll work as a project manager under my supervision, salary based on performance, no special treatment. And Jessica will need to find a job. The country club membership, the weekly spa treatments, the shopping sprees, all of it stops. You'll live within your means, or this offer disappears. Mark stared at the contract, his hands shaking slightly. When did you become so powerful? While you were busy showing off your wealth, I was building mine. I stood up and walked to the window. The question is, are you ready to learn the difference? He picked up the pen. Jessica will never agree to this. Then she can enjoy explaining to her social circle why she's moving into a 2-bedroom apartment. I turned back to face him. Your choice, Mark, but choose quickly. This offer expires when you leave this office. The pen scratched against paper as Mark signed. When he finished, he looked up with tears in his eyes. I'm sorry, Alex, for everything. Prove it, not with words, with actions. I took the signed contract. Report to the Brickell project tomorrow at 7 a.m. Standard uniform, no designer clothes. You'll start by learning every job on that site from the ground up. After Mark left, Sarah brought in an updated security report. The family was imploding myths, accusations flying, alliances shifting, secrets emerging. Aunt Patricia had already called 3 times, alternating between apologies and business proposals. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. We need to talk. Privately, I forwarded it to Marcus with a simple instruction. Monitor all approaches. Protocol 4. The Miami sun was high now, reflecting off the surrounding skyscrapers. Somewhere in the city, Mark was probably breaking the news to Jessica. In the beach house, the new security system was tracking multiple failed attempts to access the gate niche, likely more family members trying their luck. I opened my laptop and began typing an email to my lawyers. It was time to make some things official. The family needed to understand that my success wasn't their safety net, and my boundaries weren't suggestions. As I worked, another message popped up, this time from my mother. We raised you better than this. I thought about the years of playing small, of watching them take and take while I built something real, about how quickly they moved to claim what wasn't theirs, and how entitled they felt to the fruits of my work. My response was simple. Yes, you did. You taught me exactly what not to do. Then I turned back to my work, letting the weight of consequences settle over my family like the Miami heat niche, heavy, unavoidable, and long overdue. 3 days after the beach house incident, the storm I'd been expecting finally arrived. Quite literally. As Miami's afternoon thunderclouds gathered, Jessica strode into the lobby of Winters Tower, designer handbag in one hand and what looked like legal documents in the other. Ma'am, you're not on the approved list, the security guard began, but Jessica cut him off. I'm his sister-in-law. He'll want to see me. She attempted to bypass security, only to find her access card stolen from Mark's wallet had been deactivated. I watched the scene unfold on my security feed, letting her wait for exactly 20 minutes before sending Sarah down. Mrs. Winters, Mr. Winters will see you now. Sarah's professional tone carried just a hint of frost. The elevator ride to the penthouse floor was silent. Security cameras caught Jessica's expression as she took in the massive Winters Development Group logo in the lobby, finally understanding the scale of what she'd never noticed before. When she entered my office, her practiced smile was already in place. Alex, we need to discuss this situation like adults. I gestured to a chair but remained standing. The situation where you tried to steal my property, or the situation where Mark signed away control of his company. Her smile flickered. Both. This vindictive behavior isn't like you, Alex. We're family. Family. I pulled up the security footage from the beach house on my office wall screen. Is this how family acts? We watched in silence as the video showed her directing movers to throw out my furniture, making jokes about my cheap taste while standing next to $1 million art piece. I didn't know, she started. That's the problem, Jessica. You never bothered to know. You were too busy looking down on me to notice what I was building. Thunder cracked outside as Miami's daily storm rolled in. The sky darkened, making the city lights flicker to life below. Mark says you're making him work on a construction site, she said, her voice tight with controlled anger. He's an executive. He's learning the business from the ground up. Something he should have done years ago instead of playing golf with clients who never signed contracts. She opened her designer bag, pulling out the documents I'd already expected. I want half. Excuse me. Half of Mark's company. I've been the face of that business for years. My connections, my social circle. I built that network. I deserve. You deserve nothing. I cut her off, my voice cold. The company you think you helped build is worthless. Mark's debt is larger than its value. The only thing keeping you in that mansion is my generosity. Her hand trembled slightly as she gripped the papers. I'll go public. Tell everyone how you manipulated your own brother. How you're destroying our family. I pressed a button on my desk, and the wall screen changed. Now it showed footage of her at various social events, bragging about deals she'd influenced through methods that weren't exactly legal. Should we discuss the Peterson contract? The one where you promised certain favors in exchange for signatures? Or maybe the Thompson development, where you suggested their children might get into certain private schools if they signed with Mark? The color drained from her face. You recorded everything. I protect my interests, Jessica. Always have. The only difference is now you know about it. I sat down behind my desk. So here are your options. I pushed a folder across the desk. She opened it and her eyes widened at the contents. Option 1. You accept the terms Mark signed. You find a real job, live within your means and rebuild your life honestly. The mansion gets sold, but I'll provide a reasonable apartment until you're back on your feet. And option 2. Her voice was barely a whisper. You fight this, and I release everything. Every recording, every illegal promise, every corrupt deal. Your social circle will evaporate, and your reputation won't recover. Lightning illuminated the office, casting harsh shadows across Jessica's face as she realized her position. Why are you doing this? Because actions have consequences. Because you and Mark needed to learn that success isn't about appearances. It's about work, integrity, and respect for others. She stared at the folder for a long moment. Outside, the storm raged against the windows, a fitting backdrop to the turmoil in the room. What about the children? She asked finally. Their trust funds are secure. In my name, they'll have everything they need for education and a solid start in life. But they'll learn the value of work, not the entitlement you've been teaching them. Tears smeared her perfect makeup. I never thought you'd be so ruthless. Ruthless, ruthless. I stood and walked to the window. I'm offering you a chance to rebuild with dignity. That's not ruthless. It's merciful. She picked up the folder with shaking hands. Do I have time to think about it? 24 hours. After that, the deal changes. I turned back to face her. And Jessica, don't try to contact other family members for help. They're all facing their own reckonings. As if on cue, her phone buzzed. It was a message from our Aunt Patricia, announcing she had to cancel her annual charity gala, the social event of the season. Another consequence of crossed boundaries and presumed entitlements. Jessica stood, clutching the folder like a lifeline. You've changed, Alex. No, I've just stopped pretending. The quiet brother you all underestimated built something real while you were building illusions. I nodded to Sarah, who appeared to escort Jessica out. 24 hours. After she left, I received a message from Marcus. Sir, your mother is attempting to access the beach house again. I checked the security feed. She was standing at the gate, trying to convince the guards that there had been a mistake, that her son would want her to have access. Protocol 5, I texted back.
Auf.
Respectful but firm removal. Send the usual recording. Minutes later, my mother would receive a video message I'd recorded. Mom, the house is not accessible to family without explicit invitation. This isn't negotiable. Please stop putting the security team in an awkward position. The storm outside was beginning to clear, much like the air in my life. Sometimes clarity comes with lightning, and sometimes it comes with the quiet after the storm. My family was learning both. I opened my laptop to check the latest project reports. Mark had shown up for work every day, on time, willing to learn. Maybe there was hope there. As for Jessica and the others, time would tell who could adapt to the new reality, and who would cling to their illusions until they shattered completely. 6 months after the beach house incident, I stood in my office watching the sunset paint Miami's skyline in gold. The view had changed, not just the skyline, where 3 new Winters development projects now rose against the clouds, but the whole perspective of my life. My phone buzzed with a message from Mark. Foundation inspection completed on the Thompson site. All specs exceeded. Attaching report. I smiled, remembering how he'd complained about dirt and manual labor those first few weeks. Now he understood every aspect of our projects from the ground up. His transformation had been the most surprising outcome of all this. Sarah's voice came over the intercom. Mr. Winters, your mother is here for her scheduled appointment. Send her in. Mom looked different now. Less adorned with designer labels, more authentic somehow. The past months had changed her too. Alexander, she said, taking a seat. The family council meeting is tomorrow. Are you sure about this? I nodded, pulling up a presentation on the wall screen. It's time. The new family trust structure is ready. After the beach house confrontation, it had taken 3 months for the dust to settle. Jessica had accepted the terms, found a job as a real estate agent ironically, and was slowly rebuilding her life. Aunt Patricia had downsized her lifestyle, and was actually doing more genuine charity work now that she had less to prove. The younger cousins were in various training programs within my companies, learning the value of real work. Some of them still don't understand. Mom said, watching me carefully. They don't need to understand. They just need to follow the rules. I handed her a folder. The new trust is merit-based. Family members who work, contribute, and maintain integrity get benefits. Those who don't, won't. She opened the folder, reviewing the terms we'd be presenting tomorrow. And the beach house remains private. But, I softened slightly. Family members who demonstrate responsibility can earn visiting privileges. Mark and his kids are coming for Thanksgiving. Jessica, she's not ready. I sat down across from her, but she's making progress. The therapy sessions are helping. Mom closed the folder, her eyes moistening. I keep thinking about all the years we underestimated you, treated you like the struggling younger son we never saw. You saw what I wanted you to see. I interrupted gently. The question is, what do you see now? She straightened in her chair. I see a son who built something extraordinary, while teaching his family hard but necessary lessons. And she hesitated. I see where we went wrong with Mark. With all of you, it's not too late to do better. A notification popped up on my screen. The beach house security feed. Mark was there with his kids, teaching them about property maintenance as part of their new Earn Your Privileges program. They were cleaning the pool area, all of them in work clothes, looking happier than they had in their designer outfits. The family meeting tomorrow. Mom said, standing to leave. There will be resistance. There always is when things change. But they'll adapt, or they'll fade out of the picture. Their choice. After she left, I sent a message to Marcus. Implement final protocol for tomorrow's meeting. His response was immediate. All security measures in place. Documentation ready. The next day would mark a new chapter for the Winters family. Some would embrace it, others would fight it, but all would learn that respect, integrity, and hard work were the only currencies I truly valued. I looked out at my city, at the empire I'd built while they weren't watching. The quiet brother they'd underestimated had created something lasting, something real. And now finally, They were learning to build something real too. My phone buzzed one last time. A picture from Mark. His kids were jumping in the cleaned pool. Their work clothes still on. Huge smiles on their faces. The caption read, "They said it feels better because they earned it." I saved the photo. He was right. Everything feels better when you earn it. Some lessons are worth more than all the beach houses in the world. The end.